Going through the forums today and finding a lot of funny things in here. Today is a momentous day for some people because it's the first day that gold can be directly purchased from Blizzard, from the Real Money Auction House. So now people don't have to use Chinese bars or foreign websites. Mind you, I do have to tell you that the price is about double the going rate that the botters are offering. So there is a premium for buying it officially. But what I want to talk to you today again about is about the inflation problem in the economy, because the inflation problem is getting worse and worse, and now there's items being sold for billions of gold and things like that. Now, here's a person's, one person who's posting on the forum thinking about creative solutions. And so what does this person say? I put in a little over 100 hours in the game. I've noticed the value has decreased drastically. Completely correct. Gold farming and bars have thrown tons and tons of gold into the economy, and that only makes gear cost much more. Correct. Because prices of items are high, people need to make large amounts of money to get the gear that they want. Yep, that's totally correct. And it says, gold farming is not that fun. I would agree with that. Some people think that's fun. But look at this person's solution, okay? Lowering the gold cap to about 100 million, so basically the max buyout cap, will drastically reduce the price of items because there will be less gold in the auction house economy. Prices will be forced to be much more affordable. Lowering the buyout cap to 50 million. This will significantly reduce the annoying problem with botting. Bots won't be able to sell items for ridiculous price, and we won't have to see damaged hand axes in the auction house for 2 billion gold. Diablo 3 auction house is much like the real world economy. As the value of gold inflates, items are priced higher than they should be. That means you will pay more for an item that is barely or isn't an upgrade to what you have now. So a lot of people think that this makes sense and that, yeah, there should be a buyout. This isn't the first time that people think that they should have a limit on how much they can sell items for. But think about what this person is saying. What this person is saying is that instead of the market dictating prices, and even if prices are 500 million for a sword, for 1100 DPS one-handed sword with life on hit, or whatever it might be currently, it's market-based. People don't have to buy that item. They just don't. If sellers sell it for too high, well, then they waste an auction slot and they waste a couple days that item taking up space in their auction slot. And then they have to reduce the price to sell it again, possibly. So there is a risk-reward ratio for them not being able to sell it right away, right? They'd rather sell that item right away than wait on it. That's why so many people have buyouts. Because they don't want to wait for money. People want to buy it now. And buyers also want to buy it now too, because they want the item now. They don't want to wait 10 hours until the auction ends. But this person's solution to the inflation problem is just to have price controls. Now, most of you are playing this game. I'm too young to remember this as well, but most people that are playing this game are probably too young to remember price controls in the 70s, where, gas was shortage because Nixon imposed price controls over gas. So what happened? Oh, well, gas is too high, so we just have to cap the price so you can't sell gas anymore. So what ended up happening? You had hoarding. People would buy much more gas than they needed, and then they would sell it back on the black market or trade it for more stuff. And so gas stations had long lines. They were all out of gas for weeks and months and things like that. That's because of price controls. Because if we were to listen to this, and it hasn't worked in real life economy, so when he says Diablo 3 is much like the real world economy, if he understands this, I'm very scared if people would agree with this, is that once you make a cap, no matter what the cap is, if the market says that item is worth much more, for example, if that life on hit 1100 DPS open socket, sword is worth 500 million, and you put the cap at 100 million, all you're going to do is drive that 500 million gold weapon, you're going to drive it into the Real Money Auction House. Or you're going to drive that weapon into PayPal. You're going to drive it into third-party sites. They're not going to sit by and say, oh, I'm going to sell it for 100 million. Because the person who buys it for 100 million, there's nothing stopping that person from trying to flip it for the real value of 500 million. The only way caps could work, and they can't, but in a theoretical world that they could work, is if you could force people to sell things that were worth more than 100 million to people. But that will never occur. So putting on price controls will not make the economy work, because what people will do is that 1100 DPS weapon, they just simply won't sell. They just won't. They're not going to lose $400 million simply because of that. And, I mean, this isn't the only other solution that people have talked about. I mean, look at this one. Here's another solution to inflation. Tax brackets. For people who make the most money, and this guy assumes gold farmers. I'm sure a lot of gold farmers make a lot of money, but some people get their money legitimately as well. That they should have a much higher tax on everything, such as repair costs and items sold. So instead of 15% cut, it would be 50% for the richest 1% of players. And look at this person. He says, I support this idea. And the reality is that, you know, people don't like people that are in better positions than them. A lot of people resent that and they get jealous. So they think what we have to do is we have to punish them. And we do that in real life. What we do is we tell people that make a lot of money that they have to pay higher taxes, they have to spread it around and things like that. And this idea of socialism has spread to basically the entire world. And now, after the financial bubble of 2008 and all these other problems that we're having now, we're seeing what those sort of policies, even though they're not necessarily the key reason, but they do influence what's happening now. But this is what's happening. At least, you know, I'm looking down here. Hippie liberals and their socialism. Well, it doesn't work. So I've been looking at the forums. I've been racking my brain. I posted my first video about Diablo 3 that I think the solution is just to get rid of the botters. They're having a tough time doing that. But if you can't get rid of the botters, no matter what cockamamie scheme people come up with, either taxing the rich or whatever it might be, it's not going to work. Price controls are not going to work. It's going to fail. So people need to understand that when they say the Diablo 3 economy is just like the real world economy, it is. Except that in Diablo 3, the botters have the printing press, and that's why prices are so high.